Hi everyone, good morning. Warm greetings from Penang, Malaysia. We are here today for another series of Teacher Talk, Lessons Learned During the Pandemic. The COVID-19 has resulted in the closure of all schools across the world. Globally, over 1.2 billion children are out of the classroom. This morning, we will have our first-hand look on how teaching language take place during the pandemic, not only in Malaysia, but also in our neighboring countries, Indonesia and Thailand. Before we begin, I would like to invite Ms. Rowena Capel, the president of PELTA, to give the opening speech.
Thank you, Wan. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another webinar hosted by the Penang English Language Learning and Teaching Association, also known as PELTA. On behalf of the committee, I thank you for joining us today. For those who are new to PELTA, we are a professional, non-profit and non-governmental organization founded in 1990 and based in Penang, Malaysia. Membership is open to all those who are interested in the teaching and learning of the English language. We strive to provide opportunities for the sharing of expertise and experiences in ELT through our webinars, workshops, and biennial international conferences. Our next virtual international conference is on the 20th and 21st of November this year. We do hope that you will join us. For more information about PELTA, please visit our association at pellta.org, all in lowercase. Today, we are very privileged to have with us three educators. Ms. Jiradut Chatoloed from the British International School of Samui, Thailand. Mr. Muhammad Irfan Zaki from SMP Hikmat Padang Panjang, Indonesia. And Ms. Magdalene Anak Mook from SMK Tebakang, Sarawak, Malaysia, with a webinar entitled Teacher Talk 3, Lessons Learned from the Pandemic. On behalf of PELTA, I thank all the three speakers for graciously accepting our invitation to join us in this webinar and for the support of our activities. I'm sure we will have a very interesting and informative webinar today. Once again, thank you for your support and attendance. Over to you, Wan.
Thank you, Ms. Rowena. Today we have three wonderful teachers Koh Samui, Thailand, to share their experiences and thoughts on teaching during the pandemic. Allow me to introduce Ms. Magdalene Anak Mook. Hi, Ms. Magdalene.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Welcome to this
Good morning.
program.
Hi.
Hello, Kawan.
Okay,
Thank
right.
you for
Miss Magdalene Anak Mook is an English teacher teaching in Sekolah Menengah Kebangsaan Tebakang, a secondary school in Serian, Sarawak. She is a TED-Ed Club facilitator, advisor, and club leader. She was also among the top 15 finalists in the Cikgu Kickstart Awards 2021 in Malaysia. Right. Teaching in the pandemic is definitely very challenging. Let us hear from Ms. Magdalene's experiences and thoughts after more than a year we had our schools closed and reopened and closed again. Over to you, Ms. Magdalene.
Yeah.
Hi there, I'm Magdalene Mook, an ESL teacher from SMK Tebakang, Sarawak, Malaysia. And I'll be sharing my side of story, lesson learned during this pandemic for this teacher talk. Teaching during this pandemic is extremely challenging for many teachers, especially to those who are teaching in rural area like myself. Don't forget, to students it is challenging as well, as there's no traditional teacher standing next to them like in the classroom, and this hinders them from asking questions or asking for assistance. Nevertheless, as educators, we are doing our best to ensure that our students are getting the knowledge and information that they deserve, and it should be equal actually, as no students should be left behind. When talking about no students should be left behind, there are actually students who are left behind, and we will look into this at the challenges that we face during this pandemic. When we talk about practices, there are so many practices. We have lots of ways for us to reach out to our students, for us to continue teaching during this pandemic. And as for the current practice in my school, most of the time the teachers, we delivered our lessons via WhatsApp and Telegram, WhatsApp or Telegram, where we share tasks or activities using WhatsApp and Telegram. But we do have online mode where we distribute out modules, handouts and worksheets for students. Be allocated a certain period of time for them to do certain subjects and certain period of time for them to submit the activities assigned. And for this, we do have we assign, we call it school rep and village rep representative. So these representative, the personnel, they will send out send the modules, the handouts, the worksheet to the villages, to the village, and from there the village rep, the parents or the students themselves will come and collect the handouts distributed. And after a certain period of time, these groups of students, they will return back the modules or the handouts or the worksheets assigned earlier on. And as for advanced students, normally they will screenshot and they will send their answers via WhatsApp, and from here the teacher could actually do direct correction or discussion with the students. So by doing this, the offline mode, it is to ensure that all students, those who do not have internet access as well, they have the access to learning. And what are the strategies that we use, or I would say what I use during this online teaching? For my advanced class, I'm using Flip Lesson because it's easy for me to assign them with the tasks and the activities. As for my remedial and intermediate classes, I use voice chat, screenshots from the workbook or from the textbook, and short video clips. When I say screenshot, this is where you just take a snapshot of the activities, send to them via WhatsApp or Telegram, and they will ask you question, and this is where voice chat take place and you give them explanation. And as for short clip videos, normally this is giving them a further instruction on the how and what to do with the exercises. There are times that these short video clips are in advance to give them a specific activities, especially for writing. For writing. Reading should be no problem, speaking should be no problem. Speaking, we can use a voice chat, but these short video clips, it's needed to enhance the explanation. The challenges, the challenges, when talking about challenges, there are lots of things in mind, and I'm pretty sure that I'm not alone in this. We're getting student engagement. It's very hard, and sometimes it's exhausting, I have to admit. But Nevertheless, we need a lot of patience and be supportive and understanding towards our students' situation. We cannot jump into conclusion, or we cannot assume that they are lazy or they do not have access to it. Some of the students, they do have limited access to the devices or gadget, where they are sharing handphones or computer with their siblings and parents. Some of them, they even have limited access or limited internet access that hinders them to retrieve or download the task that being assigned to them. And some students, they do not have enough data to undergo online learning due to the long run of attending other lessons, because one day they would have 4 to 5 subjects. So you can imagine the data consumed attending these lessons. Many of my students, they said they do not have internet connection during the day, so only at night that they submitted their task. So I'm very thankful that they submitted it. And I have to admit, I wouldn't lie that some of my students are missing in action. I couldn't trace them starting from the pandemic. So for the past 2 years, almost 2 years, these are the group of students who were left behind. They just couldn't be traced. Even we contacted the parents, couldn't contact the parents, couldn't reach out to parents. They are just MIA. Yep. The reason why, they said they are not interested to learn because it's very difficult to learn online, it's very difficult to learn alone, so they lost interest. So I do hope that when we go back to school, these are the group of students that we really need to cover and equip them with the knowledge that they have lost throughout this pandemic. And what are the tools that we can use to overcome the challenges? As for my advanced classes, I'm using TED platforms and Flipgrid. This is one of the ways for me to expose my students to technology and equip them with a digital literacy. No doubt that our students are actually digital natives, but they use these knowledge in technology for entertainment. And when you ask them to use for learning, they don't really know about it, or they just couldn't be bothered. And the other thing is that when using this technology, it's actually preparing students for their future skill. And bear in mind, audience, when I say the students are digital natives and we are the digital immigrants, we are actually learning from one another, with students teaching me how to use new tech apps. For example, TikTok. I don't know how to use TikTok, but for students, they know how to use it. So we use this. We learn from them, and we transfer it to educational purposes. And as for my intermediate and remedial classes, I would use Canva, where I can add on images and graphics, and it makes them interested to learn when they look at the graphics and the images. We use songs. Songs could really attract students' interest to learn. As from songs, we can actually teach vocabulary, grammar, I would say all the language skills. I will not deny that old school, like pen and paper and workbook, that are still needed during this pandemic, as we need. There are times that we send out these messages and memos to parents by WhatsApp or Telegram. And then again, I just want to clarify that I know technology can never replace the traditional old school teachers teaching, but during this pandemic, we really need to adapt and adopt to the current situation, as technology is badly needed, where we could actually add extra spices and taste to our lesson. Students will not be interested in that dull, lame lesson of the textbook. So, ladies and gentlemen out there who refuse to incorporate technology in their teaching, we need to change. Okay, you really need to change your style of teaching. Embrace changes. There's no harm in changing, although it's difficult and although it's hard to change, but we all really need to change. Don't be afraid to change. Embrace changes for the future of our students. So these are my sharing. These are the lessons learned during this pandemic, and I do hope that we can share ideas and thoughts for this session. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Magdalene. Yes, true enough. As we strive to ensure the continuity of education, embrace the change, seeking for ways that will serve the purpose, we should also remember the fact that our students are also struggling with the drastic changes, particularly to those who are not resilient to change. The key is passion and providing necessary support. Our next speaker is Mr. Muhammad Irfan Zaki. Hi, Mr. Irfan.
Hello, Miss Wan. Good morning, everyone.
Hi. Right. Mr. Muhammad Irfan Zaki is from Padang, Sumatra, Indonesia. He has been
Padang
teaching
Panjang.
English. Oh yeah, Padang Panjang, Sumatra, Indonesia. He has been teaching English in Islamic boarding school, Darul Hikmah, Padang Panjang, a junior high school for about 3.5 years. Graduated from Universitas Negeri Padang, his area of interest in teaching languages is teaching vocabulary. As the schools are reopened for face-to-face interactions, particularly for boarding school, since September 2020 in Padang Panjang, let us hear from Mr. Irfan his experiences in teaching during the pandemic as the school reopens. Over to you, Mr. Irfan.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, my name is Muhammad Irfan Zaki and I'm an English teacher here in Darul Hikmah Islamic Boarding School Padang Panjang. And I want to share some stories about teaching English during this pandemic to you all. To begin with, I'd like to talk about the current situation that we have in SMP Hikmah Padang Panjang. For today, we already have this face-to-face learning happening in our school since September 2020. The government allowed us to do this face-to-face learning as long as we followed the rules, which is testing all of the students and all of the school residents for COVID-19. If there are no infections, then we could deliver this face-to-face learning immediately as soon as the result came out. However, the government also asked us to create our own set of rules related to this COVID prevention, and they also told us that we could not let any infection happening in our school, because if there's an infection in our school, they will try to close or stop the teaching and learning process in our school immediately after that. So it is safe to say that we have been doing this face-to-face learning for about 1.5 years for now, and we are so happy about it. For me, teaching during this pandemic is extremely stressful. You know, a lot of problems came and we need to adapt as soon as possible. However, we could not let our students wait for too long, because they deserve to get the lessons, they deserve to get the knowledge from us, the teachers, and we need to deliver the lesson as soon as possible. And then we thought that we need to think the strategies to deliver the lessons to our students. At the beginning of the pandemic, we used the Zoom and other online meeting applications that are available out there to deliver our lessons to the students. You know, however, it didn't turn out well because a lot of problems happened during that Zoom and online meeting period. After we encountered so many problems with the Zoom and the online meeting apps, and then we decided that WhatsApp should be it, you know. Everyone has WhatsApp right now, and WhatsApp can do so much things, so many things. We can send our videos over there, we can send our modules over there, and we can also send the handouts, and the students could download it and then they could learn from that. And we could also able to discuss with our students through the chat section and also the voice chat. And that's how we did the online teaching here in Darul Hikmah. Especially me, I use WhatsApp a lot. I send the modules to the students via WhatsApp, and also the videos and also the handouts, and they could study about my lesson over there. And they could also send me their assignment back through the chat section by sending screenshots or sending photos. Along with the strategies that we use during this online teaching in this pandemic, there are lots of problems that we encountered during this online teaching process. You know, the first one is like most of our students didn't have any phone at that time. You know, they were still young, 13 years old, 14 years old. Their parents didn't want to buy them phone at that age. It's kind of dangerous. So sometimes we need to wait for the parents to get back from work in order to reach the students, in order to be able to teach them by phone at that time. And that was the main problem that we faced during this pandemic. And the second one is the internet coverage. In Indonesia, for your information, we didn't have the same internet speed across the places in Indonesia. For example, in the downtown area, you get faster internet speed than the suburb area. Our students need to go somewhere else before they could get internet coverage to download the topics, the modules and the videos that we sent them. So we need more time to teach our students, to wait for the assignment to be sent back to us at that time. And that was one of the biggest problems that we faced during this pandemic. And we, the teacher, need to be patient about it because there's nothing that we can do about it. And the third one that I face, especially in teaching English, is to build the creativity of my students. As we know, in English we also have the speaking capability that we need to explore, and it was the hardest part to explore during this online teaching. Why? Because most of our students didn't meet us directly, so we couldn't ask them to speak with us, to talk to us in English. And it was hard at the time. I tried to ask them to speak by using the video, but most of them were too shy to do so. So that was a problem. And the next problem that we faced was building the vocabularies of our students. You know, in Indonesia, it was hard for the students to read the dictionary. They didn't want to. And as you know, our students were at home at that time. So it's kind of hard for us to ask them to find new vocabularies for them, especially that in English, vocabulary is one of the essential things that we need to understand English better. And that's one of the problems too. And last but not least, the problems that we face here was like we had limited times with the students. You know, we created the WhatsApp group with the teachers, and then we put all of the teachers over there with the students. However, we couldn't teach them all the time because we had the schedules for ourselves. And in English, we couldn't have that limited time, especially to teach those vocabularies, to teach them how to speak and any other things. And I felt that in teaching English, the time that was given to us was very limited, and that's the main problem in teaching my students. We couldn't have more time with them, we couldn't spend more time with them to make them understand better. And for us here in Darul Hikmah, problems were there to be solved, right? And for the first one, the time limit, we tried to remove the time limit that we gave to our students. So the students will have more time to understand the lesson better than before. And we didn't force the student to hand over the assignment as soon as possible, but we encouraged them to understand the topic first before they could send it to us, and they had unlimited time. And for the second one is the vocabulary building for my students. You know, since I know that not all of my students will open their dictionary, so I tried to give all the vocabularies away to them. So I included it in my handouts so they could download it and they could learn about it. So they will still add more vocabularies into their minds. That's how I did it. In my experience, I felt that this kind of way is quite useful for my students here in Darul Hikmah Padang Panjang. And for the last one is the speaking capability of my students. I know that it is hard to speak in English. I know it is the hardest part in English. But I tried to make my students to speak as hard as I could. And even though they were shy at the time, I tried to make them to make a short video about the topics that we were studying at that time, and they sent it back to me. So I could see how well they're speaking in English and how well they understand the topic that we were studying at that time. It kind of works for me. Not all of the students did this thing, but at least I could get feedbacks about how my students speak in English. And that were my stories about teaching online during this pandemic, especially in teaching English. Hope you find my information useful, and thank you for paying attention to me. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Mr. Irfan. Yes, easy access to learning materials is one of the key to ensure continuity in education, and of course, passion and patience. Patience not only in dealing with emerging new ways and means in teaching language, but also is Miss Didarat Chatalet. Hi.
Hi, good morning, guys.
Hi, Miss Didarat.
Hi, Juan.
Good morning. Yes, good morning.
morning.
Right. Miss Didarat Chatalet is the head of Thai language at Panyadi, the British International School of Samui at Koh Samui, Thailand. Her experiences in teaching languages to non-native speakers are not limited to teaching English to Thai students, but also teaching Thai to non-native speakers of Thai. A language teacher with 8 years of teaching experiences, she is passionate about bilingual education. In Panyadi, the British International School of Samui, teachers strive to provide children from various parts of the world and active learning experiences that would encourage children to learn through shared experiences. Let us hear from Ms. Didarat's experiences in teaching during the pandemic. Over to you, Ms. Didarat.
Thank you, Juan.
Balloon is light. It's very light, a balloon. มออือมือ เก่งมากลูก นี่ตัวอะไรเอ่ยจอกระเชอเก่งมาก
Today is Friday. Today is.
That's good. I love it.
ไปแปลว่าอะไร
Good morning, everyone. Selamat pagi. My name is Didarat Chatalet. I am the head of Thai language teacher at Panyadi, the British International School of Samui. I have 8 years of professional teaching experience. The last 8 years have helped me to grow and understand bilingual education more deeply. I have learned to mix traditional Thai teaching methods with international teaching methodology to more effectively reach non-native students. It is for this reason that I am passionate about the Thai language, specifically within an international environment. I believe in active learning that encourage our students to learn through share experience. Good morning, guys. I'm Jidarat Chataler. สวัสดีค่ะ I'm a Thai teacher. I teach Thai for non-native speaker at Panyadi, the British International School of Samui, Thailand. I have taught Thai for 8 years, but the last 2 years have changed my experience of teaching a lot during COVID-19 pandemic. First, I have to admit to you guys that teaching non-native speaker to speak Thai is quite challenging for me every single day. And as a teacher who teaches language, I assume that it happened with you guys too, right? However, it became even more harder for me to teaching online because I have no idea how to do it. Although teaching online have encouraged for many years, but the COVID-19 have promoted for the large scale. And with the distancing, we unable to attend school, but to contain our student learning, we have to adopt online teaching. At first, I was freaked out and confused. I don't know what to do with online teaching. How to do with my classroom management. How do I evaluate my student? How do I arrange activity with my students? And I have faced a lot of problems too, such as how do I get my student to submit my work. And today is the great opportunity, and I am honored to share with you guys through this forum, and I hope you guys enjoy my presentation and let me share with you guys. Hi guys, we come to the part of online learning platforms that I would like to share with you guys about the platform that I have been using for my online teaching. One is Zoom, which is we using Zoom right now for do our sessions. And for my school, the reason why we're using Zoom because the Zoom limit which is useful for our student. We don't want our student to spend a lot of time facing online teachings, which is not good for their health. So Zoom is a great one for us. We do our lesson like not over 30 minutes, so that's why we use the Zoom. The second one is Seesaw. Seesaw we use for the student year 1, year 2, and year 3 within the age of 6 to 8 years old. The Seesaw platform, you guys can assign the work for your student in the class, and also the student can submit the work not just like a file of paper or a photo, but they can record this themselves for video too. It's quite useful for the age of 6 to 8. For Class Dojo we do with our kindergarten students. The parents can be in the Class Dojo too, and also we can assign, or when we have activity we can do in the Class Dojo. Okay, the last one is Google platform. We use Google platform from student age of 9 to 18. So it's quite complicated for the younger kids that to use Google Classroom. But Google Classroom is the one of the platforms that useful for learning online too. I hope that guys using the same platform like me. If you guys are using different platform, please share with me at the Q&A section. Okay, next, the thing that I would like to share with you is the tips that I faced during teaching online. Okay, so I come down with 6 tips for great lesson that I have used for my online teaching back there. It's quite effective for my kid, and I hope you guys can have some idea for today to use in your classroom too. Okay, tip number 1 is space and resources. So for space and resources, I really highly recommend you guys to set aside dedicate area in your home office to teach from, and also you dedicate your home as your office, so you don't feel like you're missing your classroom like that. So it will be better if you encourage your student to do the same as you. Set up, design the study area for if your student is like young, and you can ask their parents to do that. It will be great for the kids to focus on learning. So I have a couple things that I and my friend have used for our class. It's kind of like we comes up with the theme of learning. Okay, number 1 is Crazy Hat Day. This way the students can make their own hat and then share with others during the session. So it's kind of like make them more fun to come and join every lesson, because they know that they're gonna do something fun in the class with their peers. Another one is Crazy Hair Day. Crazy Hair Day, we can maybe put the wig something like that, and this way everyone is happy to learn and ready. It's just like the trick that we get our teacher to be prepared and time and ready to learn for the next level. Or I can suggest guys to do the theme, any theme that you comes up with, or maybe you can talk with your student and then you can set a theme for your class. This one is my tip number 1. Tips number 2, learning objective. Learning objectives it can be difficult for students to adjust to online learning, especially when they are joining the class from their homes. Bring them into your class and start all your classes with learning objective. And this way it will be easier for you to run your classroom smoothly and effectively if everyone understand it in the same page. So it will be easy for you to do that. Okay, tip 3, create your routine. Do your best to develop routine in the classroom for your student, to be safe environment to learn, and it can be more effective. For example, you can start with a warmer activity that involves all the students aimed at the objective learning. So such as interaction game, a review, a few students centers, discussion, question, puzzle, anything that it comes up with to get them ready. Okay, and also to make sure that you mix study with the game or maybe mini breaks and have students share their ideas. Tip number 4, the delivering instructors. The structure that you use in any platform to assign your student a work or their task, it have to be clear for them, and you have to be available to contact with them with the chat or anyway email or a group of live Facebook that you have to complicate them and maybe be able to chat with them if they have any problems about learning. Tip number 5, student engagement. You can also keep them in their shoes for having every single student in the class respond your question by typing in the box, or you can keep them incorporating fun digital tools such as Quizlet or quizzes that I have used in my class. You guys will see that I captures for my Zoom lesson. Okay, the number 2 that I used is Kahoot. Kahoot is, you can use them for your student engagement more in the classroom. Or you can use the spinner that you nominate your student name for the task and then question to build the sense of fun, or to get the students to nominate each other. For the spinner, I use it from wordwall.net, or you guys can use with other spinners. It's available for you online. The last one, tip 6, in class group work. In class group work, I use Google Document or Etherpad for them to work as group for like lifetime. So they can share the idea, they can do brainstorm, and it's keep my class active. So like we can do more active learning even though we do it online. And don't forget to let your student record to share their own video, which is great for making online presentation. You have to allow them to record themselves, to share their ideas. Even more they share, they get learn from you. They get more knowledge. And also they're happy to do it because it's their new experience to do. Okay, this would be all for my tips.
Thank you, Miss Jidara. Right. That was very interesting. I totally in agreement with you. Optimizing space and resources for learning combined with thematic approach, which is doable within the home environment, like Crazy Hair Day, would not only add some spice to our daily class routine, but also contribute to learners' motivation to learn, especially online. With Miss Jidarat's sharing, I open the floor to questions. Yeah, thank you, Dr. Thomas. Okay, we'll wait for questions. Any questions from the floor? Right. Right, we have questions from Mr. William Mark Joseph Raj. How about the teachers' preparedness in embracing the change? Yeah, uh, um, how does your teachers in the school, in your school, prepare in embracing the change? Miss Madeline, how does the teachers in your school, when you talk about teachers' preparedness in embracing the change, how does your teacher in the school, prepared for
Yeah,
the change,
and
their preparedness?
yeah, yeah. Thank you for the question. When talking about change, as I mentioned earlier on, it's not easy for us to embrace change. Some of us we just refuse for changes, but slowly we take it slowly. The pandemic has been going on for almost 2 years, and just imagine from a non-tech user, slowly you are into technology, and it takes time to use or to apply technology in your learning. We might be grumbling, yeah. You reject technology, but during this pandemic, it's a thing that you cannot reject. It's like food given to you, and it's up to you whether you want to take it or not. You like it or you don't like the food, you have to swallow the food. So embracing the change here, like I said, for the senior or veteran teachers, that will be challenging. Yeah. As for the young teachers, they are well prepared. So for the seniors and the veteran teachers, that we need to prepare them slowly. We need to guide them. Uh, Guidance is very important. If we leave them, just give them the task and let them do. I don't think they like it, so they just shut down. They refuse to prepare themselves for the change, and we need to work together. We work together, the young with the seniors and veterans. This, I think, how teachers could prepare themselves to embrace the change during this pandemic.
How about Mr. Irfan? How about teachers in your school then?
Thank you, Miss Wan. Thank you for the question, Mr. William Mark. In my school, as just like what Miss Magdalene said, that not everybody is ready for this change. So usually we use the text to just for fun, right? And then we not and then now we have to use it to teach our students. That's kind of drastic change for our teaching style. So that in our school, we did some workshops and also, you know, just like training for our teachers to do things online, especially make use of their tools. And Alhamdulillah, for now, we have already all of our teachers now here. They can make videos, they can make models, and they can do this Zoom things and everything else. Even the old ones could also
Yes.
do that right now. I think that's how we prepare things here. And for the preparedness, I think everyone must be ready for this change.
Yeah,
Thank you, Miss Wan.
right. Thank you. Right. We have one question from Dr. Tamas here. Uh, how have you personally changed during online teaching? Perhaps, Jidarat,
Yeah.
would you like to
Yeah.
share how does how have you personally changed during online teaching?
Yeah. My personally change is I have to be prepared every single day. Like maybe in my dream, every single day. Like not just prepare about the knowledge that I have to share with my student, but I have to prepare mental health. Like if we have mental health, so we can send it out for our students to get, they will get everything from us, not even knowledge. If like you guys have experience about that, about the emotion or anything, like we when we teaching them, they will watch us like a model for them. So that's why we have to like well prepare for the mental health too, not just knowledge and
Yes,
technology.
mental health. Yes, correct. Yeah, because like when we spend too much on screen, right?
Yeah.
And what more being quarantined at home, right?
Mm.
How about Miss Magdalene? How have you personally changed during online teaching?
Yeah, well, first of all, it's about information sharing. Yeah, what I meant here is personal information sharing, as mentioned by Didarat. The well-being, the emotional well-being is important.
Well-being.
So this is when we get closer to the students, although we are virtual. Yeah, that is the first change. We are getting to know each other. Yeah, in class we enter and we walk out from the class. That's it. But during online learning, we get to know. We ask them first, how are you doing before we even begin. That is very important. Ask their social emotional learning, yeah, ask for their well-being. And secondly, from a not a very tech savvy, I think I have learned a lot about all the technology tools. I need to really equip myself with all the tools first before I share it with my students. Doing a lot of self tutorial, yeah, in order to share the digital literacy with the students. So that's how I personally change myself during online learning. And sleepless night, of course. Yeah, sleepless night preparing for the materials. Yeah, okay.
Yes, yes, Mr. Irfan, how about you? Compared to before the pandemic and now?
Compared to the before the pandemic and now, I think from the pandemic, I started to learn that there are many things out there that we could explore about technologies in teaching, especially in this pandemic. We have this, just like Miss Girardot said, the Kahoot and the quizzes. I know that from the pandemic too. That's how I know things, and we have to be prepared, just like Mrs. Magdalene said in her video. Uh, Maybe we can have some students missing in action, and we have to know how to deal with that, and we have to get used to that, and we need to connect more with the students with any at any cost, that just like that,
Right.
maybe via WhatsApp, to call their parents and anything else like that. And you have to be ready to be sleepless at night because at 1 a.m. you students still sending you their assignments. That's
Yeah,
that's
happen.
frustrating for us. It happened to all of us, right? I
Yes,
think
questions on task, right? Questions on task, unable to access materials. So we open doors more. It's not within the classroom hours anymore, right?
Yes.
that's right.
Right. Okay. Um, I think this will be the last questions, perhaps. Okay. This is a question from Tian Wei. What are the most important advice you would give to teachers in facing the pandemic? Uh, Miss Magdalene.
Yep. My advice to teachers out there during this pandemic, first of all, look after yourself, your health, your well-being is important. Then look after your students, yeah, and just deliver the knowledge equally to the students, regardless they are missing in action. When they come back, try to deliver it to them by all means. Uh, no students should be left behind. But again, let me repeat myself: look after our well-being. Yeah? That's my most important advice. That's all.
Hi. How about Mr. Irfan?
Thank you, Miss Wan. I think for the upcoming teachers, I must say that we have to try to walk in the students' shoes. We have to know how to feel to be like them. We used to be students too at some point in our life, and we need to work on their shoes to know how they feel in this online teaching situation. And you know, when usually we ask them to do things, to do blah 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 blah, and sometimes we must think about them too, how to engage with them socially better. I think that's how we should do things in this pandemic, and be patient too, because it could frustrate you. I think that's my advice to the new teachers.
Yeah. Miss Jidarat.
Okay, for my SY, okay, I would back to my mental health thing, but Just for example, me, I'm not a morning person. So during the pandemic, I go like wake up like at 6 a.m. for my exercise to be ready for my class. Okay, so it's I know that this situation drives you totally crazy. So that's why I have to keep it in order. And also the other thing that I would like to share with you guys, share, not I don't think it's the SY. So about the assessment for our kids. So before the in class, we use the test or let them test for anything that comes up with the objective learning, something like that. But in in the during the time, I have learned that we sometimes we can't assess them or let them test like a normal that we do in the class. But the other way, I comes up with maybe we don't need maybe we can use formative assessment. Like don't need a test. Maybe focus on their progression. Maybe we can like keep keep a track of them, not just testing, but maybe let them do anything that they're proud of, or maybe even no, I'm not even though even like singing, recording themselves singing about the lesson, maybe something like that, something that encourage them to do it. I know, like the student dress also as them as the teacher, so that way I think we'll keep them enjoy
Yeah. Yes.
learning online.
Something that is something that is personalized in learning to make them feel happy. Right. Oh, this is a very good sharing. Unfortunately, time is
Yeah,
very limited. Okay,
but
uh
but
yeah,
we have to
yeah.
yeah, sorry. I have to tell that if you we have to look at the point that maybe some of you cannot like skip the testing, right? But in that way, I have other idea. Maybe you can just give them more time, a multiple testing, like, and then you pick the best of them. For example, you let them test for 3 times and choose the best of them for your assessment, like that. So that's why we can reduce the stress, I think.
Yes, correct. I agree. Yes, it's about teaching time and learning time. It has been a wonderful session. On behalf of PELTA committee, I would like to express our utmost gratitude to our speakers today, Ms. Magdalene Anakmuk, Mr. Muhammad Irfan Zaki, and Ms. Jidarat Chatalet. Right. This has been a great sharing indeed from secondary school, junior high school, and elementary school. Language learners all bring us to similarities across the context in language learning. The learners need accessibility to learning materials and how teachers strive to fulfill not only the requirements of the education system, but also to being the catalyst to the new norm in education. The pandemic has catapulted the role of the internet from a nice to have to a core utility for everyone. It is hoped that our sharing session today has inspired us to keep on striving in effort to adjust to this new reality. So till we meet again, thank you everyone and stay safe.
Thank you. Bye bye, guys.
Bye everyone.
Bye bye.
Bye everyone. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.